thank you for joining me. I'll be painting this cute little fish in this video today for you with watercolor on watercolor paper. I'm going to be using a Baohong block. It has 20 sheets in it, and it comes with this little cutter here. And you can see that it says open on the top of the pad there. So it's got a little opening there where you go ahead and stick that little knife in there to slice the sheet of paper off. This is a nice pad because it takes a lot of water, it doesn't warp, and I'll share with you how I cut this off after I complete the painting. So I'm going to use my mechanical pencil and just do a few little details. I'm placing it on the sheet in a vertical format so I can get the fish on a longer format. And I'm just going to lightly pencil in just a few details. I put a few dots there on where I want the top of the fish, the body of the fish that is, and the tail, and then the fins are going to go above that. I do like this paper. It's 100% cotton, and this is a 7 by 4.9 inch size pad. Then I'll put the top fin in. There's a couple little feelers on the bottom, and then we've got the side fin right there. And that's about all I'm going to put in. And now I'm going to grab my travel watercolor palette, my Dugato Zero brush, and a little bit of water and a paper towel. I'm going to just do a light background, very light. I'm going to wet the paper down first. First I'm going to mix up a little bit of blue. I'm going to wet my palette down, and then I'm going to mix up a little bit of a watercolored blue for the background. So that's ready to go, because then I'm going to wet my paper, and then I'll place that blue right on top of that. I'm not going to the edge of the paper. I just want this just to kind of float in the center. Then I'll drop that blue on top. I'm going to wet that brush down, clean it off, and then I'm going to re-wet it and just kind of fade that blue out with some water. Just give me a really nice soft halo around the fish. I'll add a little bit of a darker blue closer to the fish. I'm going to do a little bit of a coral color with some orange, cad orange. I'm going to do a little bit of pink, opera pink, a lot of water. And I'm going to just do the kind of a stripy pattern, and I'm not getting into that blue. I don't want to touch any of that blue. It's not dry yet, so I'm just trying to be careful. Do a cad yellow and a little bit of cad orange. But I wasn't happy with that. I didn't like that color as much. I'm going to pull it out a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and dry that. I just want to be careful. I don't mind a little bit of colors bleeding into the other, but I really don't want it to go into that water. I want to keep that water pretty self-contained. The water of the around the fish, that is, that blue. And it's nice with this particular, when you're working on a block, because it doesn't warp as much. Kind of stays really nice and flat. I'm going to extend the body a little bit higher. This is called a discus fish, and they are really, really thin, but they're really long. Almost like an angelfish, if you've seen an angelfish. That's kind of similar. I'm going to mix up a kind of like a nice turquoise and put in the rest of these stripes in between here. Not making it neat, not being perfect. And it's okay if you go over the coral color. Now I'm going to do a little bit of a darker blue on the top fin. And I'm making it darker closer to the body, and then I'm just going to kind of lightly bring it out to the tip. But I'm not being perfect. I'm not trying to be in between the lines, and I'm going to do the same on the bottom here. A little bit darker blue, a little bit shadowed there. And then this fin extends out a little bit with these two long tentacles. And then there's two more in front of those. This one's attached to that bottom fin. And then I'm doing a lighter wash of blue on the edge where it's a little more see-through. Got cad yellow, and I'm just kind of adding a little pop of color. And the tail, I'm just kind of having it kind of phase out. It's there, but it's kind of not doing a full tail. And a little bit darker blue. That's my cobalt blue. And a little bit more coral for the lips. It's funny how terrible a painting could look as you're working. So if you ever feel like, oh my God, this looks terrible, sometimes you just gotta push on. You gotta work through the ugly, because it's challenging as a beginner, but as you get more and more confident, you'll realize that's a normal process. I've been painting for years with oil, and I've always thought, oh my God, I gotta stop. I gotta get rid of this. This is terrible. And then you just push on, and you have to sometimes step away and then come back. But yeah, it's like the teenage years, they call it, of a painting. So I'm gonna wet the whole brush down, and I'm just going to blend everything together. Just real lightly, just a real light touch of water. And then I'm gonna blow dry that. I'm listening to a little music while I was painting this. And if you've ever heard the song The Artist by Cody Johnson, it's wonderful. It's such a great song. You have to listen to this song. It's a country song, and it's so good. It was like the perfect song to come on while I was painting. So there's two little bottom feelers coming out of the bottom. I'm trying to be really careful and not touch those together. I don't really want them to bleed into each other. And I'm going to put a little bit of darker with a little bit of brown and orange into the corner of that mouth so it looks like there's some depth there. And now I'm going to work on the eye. There's a couple little bits of yellow around the edge. I add some, I'm going to let that eye dry and then go to another area and add some cobalt blue. Starting to, once that body's dry, I can add that side fin. Trying to be careful not to get into that blue. This Dugato brush is my absolute favorite. I bought a set of 4, but I work small a lot, so this 0 size is just so nice. It's got a really nice point for details, but yet holds a lot of water. So normally when I do an ink and water, I'm going to put some ink on this once this is dried. But normally when I do ink and watercolor, I usually do I do ink first, then watercolor, and then ink again. But this one is a little different. I went in with the pencil, of course, but then watercolor first. And then I'm going to lightly just put in some details with some ink, and especially around that eyeball. So you can see the point on this is perfect for this nice little detail here. So I'm doing a blue, I've got the yellow, and then there's the blue. There's a little bit of blue on this one here. You can barely see that one, it's off to the side. But then I'm going to go ahead and use the pen, a micron pen, to put in the black part of the eye. Darken that mouth in there a little bit more. And then add a little more cad orange. I love orange and turquoise together. Or coral and turquoise more so. I think that's the best part, and why artists love painting is finding your favorite colors. I had a friend this morning text me a message that she saw on the news this morning, and it said that a published study that found that people over 50 who regularly engage in the arts were 31% less likely to die during a 14-year follow-up. The more frequently people engaged with their arts, the higher their chances of living longer. And it can improve your mood and lower stress levels, help regulate emotions, promote healing, encourage self-expression, reduce the risk of developing dementia and Alzheimer's. That's a bonus. I mean, oh my God. And improve your cognitive abilities. I mean, we know that. It's good for us. I mean, I find for me, it's like meditating. It just pushes all the noise out of my head. I don't think about anything but what I'm doing, and it makes me a happier person by far. I have to create something every day. So I'm going to cover the fish with my hand and get some really watered down blue turquoisey color, and I'm going to put some splatters in the background. Just pick a color on your palette, add a lot of water. And when I do that, I get splatters everywhere. I get splatters on my computer, I get splatters on my phone, I get splatters all over the desk. But the beauty of watercolor, it just wipes off everything. I'm going to add a little bit darker shadowing down here underneath the body of the fish. And a little bit more, a little darker blue on that side, just the top of it. I'm going to dry this, and then we're going to go ahead and grab a micron pen and just put in some nice little ink details. So I've got my 01, and I'm just going to do some like little spiky edges to the top fin. Then I'll do a little bit of kind of a scattered broken line of those stripes in the body. I'm not totally detailing out everything, just hit or miss. There's the gill. Make it interesting, jaggedy lines. Now go ahead and put in that little bit of that darker part of the center of the eye. And I'm just going to put a little line on the inside of the mouth. I don't want to do the outside because it make it too obvious. And then a few more little lines on that bottom fin. And then I'm going to grab my Uni Posca. Now I've used different Uni Poscas and I've had to endure a couple ones that I didn't care for. This is the PC-1M. I like this one, I think, the best. So I'm just going to put in a few little white details here and there. It obviously shows up best on the darker parts of the paint. And I'm going to put a little shadow underneath the one eyeball with a little bit of, and underneath the mouth, that's a little bit of Payne's Gray and a little bit of Cobalt Blue. And put a little underneath that fin. Yeah, and that is about it. I'm just doing a little tiny little highlight in that eye. The first highlight I put in was just too much, so I blotted that out. So, yep, sign it, and I'll show you how you take this sheet of paper off the block now. Grab that little plastic tool. Find that little opening there where the glue is not. Get right underneath there and just slide it along carefully. And there you have it. A little bit of glue on the edge, pull that off. But yeah, they're little discus fish on our Baohong paper with watercolor and ink. And here is my finished sketch. This was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed doing this fish. And I would like to do more things like this, like turtles and pelicans and things like that. So I will leave a list of all the supplies that I used in the description below. And if you have any comments, please feel free to reach out, or any questions. I'd love to hear from you. And if you're a subscriber, thank you so much. If you're not, think about subscribing so you don't miss out on any upcoming videos that I have to share. So I want to thank you for your time. I hope you find time to sketch. And bye for now.